Hello, I'm Dr. Ali B and this is the 2014 BMW M135i. It is currently raining outside, but I can see the sun. So let's go find out more about this car. So let's start off with the figures you're going to want to know. Brand new, this car was worth around £31,000, but you could spec that up to over £40,000. Now though, second hand, you can get them anywhere between £12,500 all the way up to £22,000. It comes with a 3-litre 6-cylinder turbocharged engine that puts out 321 brake horsepower and 332 foot-pound of torque. That's enough to propel this car from 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds. We have 4 driving modes in this car. You start off in comfort, you've got Eco Pro, which is what I'm currently in right now, Sport and Sport Plus. As the name suggests, Eco Pro effectively just makes your car more economical. It limits your throttle input. You also get this little icon on the dash, which is basically a little needle on this blue bar that shows you how much energy you're wasting or how much you're not wasting. It also shows how many miles you potentially have saved compared to driving in normal comfort mode. I've been driving this for a little bit today and so far I have saved 1.4 miles. Let's take it out of Eco Pro mode though and put it into Sport, considering this is a sporty car. We've changed down a couple gears on the manual gearbox. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! God! Yep, it's a quick car. It's a quick car. So a couple of things change when you're in sport mode, and I do mean a couple. You've got the drivetrain that changes and the chassis that changes. With regards to the drivetrain, it makes the throttle more responsive and gives you more power out of the engine. With the chassis though, that tightens up to make it a little bit more nimble around corners, but it also makes the steering heavier. Now I'm not a massive fan of the heavier steering. I do like the fact that it does feel heavy, but the steering is so precise and so instantly changeable that I don't feel like I'm in full control. It feels too direct in my opinion. I do prefer the lighter steering for the comfort. Now what's odd about that is when I first got into the car, I didn't like the comfort steering. I thought it was too loose and too wallowy. I didn't feel in control when using the comfort steering. But as you drive it more, you come to realize that actually comfort is extremely precise, and I prefer it to the harder steering of sport mode. But in the iDrive settings of the BMW, you can change what exactly changes in Eco Pro mode as well as sport mode. So if you do just want the more powerful drivetrain and the more responsive throttle and keep the comfort steering, you can do so. You've got shifter paddles on the steering wheel for those extra sharp shifts if you want to be in control, but you can also do it via the gear stick. If you pop the gear stick over to the left, you're now in manual mode. So if you pull back on the gear stick, go up a gear. If you push forward, go down a gear. One thing I do find a little odd about this car is that when you floor it, the engine makes a lot of noise. It kind of shouts at you going, I'm ready to go, but it doesn't feel like it's going that quickly until you look at the speedo and you realize you're going rather fast. I'll show you what I mean right now. So we're going into a national right now. Put my foot down. Shouts. I do get thrown back. I don't know what it is. It does seem deceptively fast. It makes a lot of noise before you start going anywhere, and it can feel a little sluggish. It does have the 8-speed ZF gearbox, which is a good gearbox when you're using it manually, but I do find it to be a little bit slow when you're just trying to use it daily, I suppose. The other little niggle about the ZF gearbox for me is that when I'm in comfort mode, I do want the gears changes to be a little smoother. Of course, when you're in sport mode, I fully expect to be like kicked in the back of the head when I'm changing gears. In comfort, I don't think it's that necessary. Let's get on to how this car looks. Now I may contradict myself here because I like the fact that it looks understated, but I don't like the way it looks. It seems very baby-faced, but also quite ugly in my opinion. But I do like the fact that if you were to debadge it, apart from some subtle changes to the front bumper, the alloy wheels and the 2 exhaust pipes out the back, you could confuse this for just a 120D. And that is what I do like, because I do like the whole sleeper aspect to a car. It also seems as though the understated look has been brought into the interior, because there's nothing to shout about in here. BMW, I feel, needs to just completely start from scratch again. They need to do a complete redesign If you look at the older Audis and the older Mercedes, kind of the competitors to BMW, their interiors have changed drastically over the years. And a couple years ago, both Audi and Mercedes did a complete redesign of their interiors. It's the interior that really lets this car down for me. First off, there's no pause button. I don't understand how there's not a play pause button in this car. Now, I don't know if this is just this spec or if all M135i's are like this, but there are spaces on the steering wheel. Why isn't there just a play pause button on the steering wheel right there? Just put in a play pause button. It really, really irritates me. The other thing that really irritates me are the seats. Now, these are the manual seats, and you can get electric seats. Now, if I was to buy this car, after driving it, I would 100% go for the electric seats. I do not understand BMW's mechanisms for moving a manual seat. They're all levers down the side that if you pull them ever so slightly, depending on where your weight is, you go in that way. So let's take the back of this, for example. If I'm leaning against this, rather than having a knob that you can twist like most cars to just eke it up, eke it back, find the right position, it has kind of ratchet areas for you to be able to position your seat in. Not in betweens. They're quite relatively big distances between them, I think. So if I pull it, oh, and I'm back. Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing? And if you want to try and move your seat up and down, now normally in a car, you ratchet it up and it kind of slowly brings you up, and you push it down to let yourself go down. In this car, same again. You pull up on that, wherever your weight is, you're going in that direction. Trying to move the seat whilst you're sat in it is so annoyingly hard. And also at the front, you've got 3 levers at the front of the seat that do 3 different things. One tilts you backwards and forwards in the seat. You've got the kind of thigh rest that most BMWs have. I'm starting to get around to liking it, but I'm not 100% sold on it. And finally, you have the only conventional lever in this car down on the left hand side, which moves the seat forwards and backwards. That's the only conventional lever in my opinion. There is one electronic button on the seats, which when I found it, I thought, thank God, an electronic button. All that does is inflates the side bolsters if you want a bit more support. They do add a little bit of support, but not a lot. And I did think it was for lumbar support, and I am rather annoyed that this car does not have good lumbar support. I do not like BMW's manual seats. They really piss me off. I wish this car had electric seats. You can spec them to have electric seats. If you buy one, get electric seats. Don't get manual seats. BMW, change the way you do manual seats. Okay, rant over. So now some good points that I do like about the interior. I think the sound system in this sounds great. I'm not a huge fan of the infotainment system that BMWs have, their iDrive system. As far as I'm aware, it has got better in newer cars. So it's not too bad. It's just menus on menus on menus, which I don't entirely understand though. Considering that this infotainment system is menus within menus within menus, the call system is very easy. There's a button down here for telephone. Click on that, or up here on the steering wheel. Press those buttons, takes you straight to your contacts. Scroll through the wheel, click on contact, and it's calling straight away. The minimal amount of button pressing you need to call someone is what I like the most. And I really wish it was like that for the whole car. This bloody seat is too far back now. Oh, you. Nope. Nope. Wait. The amount of times I've changed my seat in this car since driving it is freaking ridiculous. Yeah, that works. Space in this car is more or less what I was expecting, to be fair. Considering this can come as both a 3-door and a 5-door, which I'm driving, you know there's not going to be amazing legroom in the back. Now, as I'm 6'5", I can squeeze in behind me, but I am squeezed in and I don't think I'd want to be there for much longer than say half an hour. Sitting behind an average sized person though, I can get in a bit better and I could probably last a little bit longer. The boot though, that's a pretty decent size. It can fit all my camera gear, and if I packed it a bit better, I would be able to get quite a bit more kit in there, I think. For me, whenever I get in a car, one of the things that is high on my list as to whether I like it or not is, would I do a road trip in it? And before I got into this car, I did think this would be a great car for a road trip. Having driven it, no, I don't think it'd be good for a road trip car. It's not great on fuel. I think this drives marvelously. I love the engine. I do like the gearbox. The steering in comfort is great for me. And finally, probably the most major aspect is comfort. If you're going to be in this car for long periods of time, you want to be comfortable. This is not comfortable. It is comfortable. This is the only thing. It's a comfortable ride. The seat though, not comfortable. I think that lets the car down the most. It's the fact that the seats aren't as good as the rest of the car. Maybe if you're a bit shorter than I am, you wouldn't have an issue. Maybe it's just my height. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are in this car and if you would own one. Finally, make sure you're subscribed as I've got more videos coming very soon. Bye! Whoa! Jesus! I was not expecting that! God, me.